California billionaires face proposed it's only a one-time wealth tax. We're going to hit you for 5%. Worth $100 billion? $5 billion goes boop like that. You think those billionaires might move? Is California trying to squeeze out every drop of tax revenue they can by pushing out their wealthiest residents? Yes, absolutely. Let's get into it. Here we go. This measure would need to reach 870,000 signatures before the November 2026 ballot. It blows my mind that they think this is a good idea somehow. This is how desperate California has become. Oh, hey, funding's being taken away from us from, the big, beautiful bill. Therefore, hey, let's tax those guys and gals who basically pay 40-50% of our taxes. Let's tax those guys another 5% because what could go wrong? They won't leave. They'll just stay and take it, right? They'll just bend over, grimace, and take it. California's wealthiest residents. See that? Yeah, funding. Yep. California's wealthiest residents could face a one-time 5% tax on their net worth. Who does that? Under a new proposal aimed at replacing billions of dollars in federal funding cuts to healthcare. All right, so we had some federal funding cuts, so therefore billionaires, you guys worked real hard, created a lot of wealth. We're going to go ahead and tax you. It's just communism, right? Socialism. Measure called the 2026 Billionaire Tax Act. It's pretty blatant. Seeks to counter $30 billion in potential federal funding cuts to California's Medicaid program. You know what? How about California, you stop spending all the money on the criminal illegals? What about that? What if you did that? How much would you save doing that? Would you have to go after your billionaires? Because I don't know if you know this, the billionaires tend to run businesses that have massive impact on the economy. They just do. They just do. So, you run them out of town? Hey, didn't see that one coming. The portion of the revenue earmarked for public education, according to supporters, which includes the Service Employees International Union. Oh, it's a union tax. That's what it is. It's union tax. Proponents of the measure sent a request to California Attorney General Office October 21st to get approval. They're going to start collecting signatures. Will you sign our thing? The billionaires, we need to tag them. Supporters of the measure argue that around 200 billionaires in California hold about $2 trillion in wealth, but the state's other 19 million taxpayers pay a much larger portion of their true income. That is probably true. All of those things are true. But the thing about billionaires, like, for example, we had a billionaire. His name was Jeff Bezos. Might have heard of him. He's married to Lauren Sanchez. She has worked her way up. Wow. I mean, she is really... Lauren Sanchez, Bezos' current wife, she is very upwardly mobile. She has really married well. Just like, this guy, he's worth $1 million. Guy's $10 million. Guy's $100 million. Guy's Jeff Bezos, right? That's been her ascendancy with husbands. God bless America, right? I mean, what can you say? But he sold his house for $63 million here in West Bellevue on Hunts Point and said, Washington State, I'm going to be saving about $1 billion by saying sayonara to you, and I'm moving to Florida. And that's what he did. And you think a bunch of California billionaires would do the same thing? Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I don't think this will go through, but if it did, I mean, get out the popcorn, right? Get out the popcorn. If we do not do this, millions of people are going to lose health care, and untold number of people will go without treatment, and there will be tragedy after tragedy, said Dave Regan, president of some United Healthcare, whatever Workers West union deal. Yeah. So, they always make statements like that, right? The end of the world is coming unless we get this done. Unless we get these signatures, the end of the world is coming. There will be tragedy after tragedy. They don't get it. There's no tragedy. And it was like, yeah, we all kind of saw how that one went. And we're not buying it. We're not buying what you have for sale. Get to the bottom of this one. God, there we go. All right. Measure would need to garner more than 870,000. Yep, if enacted, California's wealthiest residents, including tech executives like Meta, Mark Zuckerberg, and NVIDIA, Jensen Huang, could face massive bills. I think they were up for $8 billion and $5 billion, something like that. It was some kind of massive hit. But yeah, I don't see that happening because most of these billionaires, they'll work out how to get away from this. And you know what? You're going to tag a couple of them. They're not going to stick around for this kind of thing. They probably sue. Is this even constitutional? This is how desperate California is getting to, basically pay its bills. What else can we tax? Those pesky billionaires. Let's go ahead and tag them. California's richest residents like Mark Zuckerberg could be slapped with a 5% billionaire tax if unions get their way. It's the New York Post. They kind of couch it more from the standpoint of it's a union thing. Here's Zuckerberg. Remember when he was zooming around with the American flag on one of those electric underwater jet kind of surfboards? And he was just doing that? Yeah. Overall picture of California. 5% of Wang's estimated net worth could see him paying a one-time bill of over $8 billion. Zuck's bill could be even higher at around $12 billion or more. Okay. All right. But you know what? I'm not going to feel sorry for him because, you don't need to. Those guys have billions and billions of money. So it kind of reminds me of the situation we've got going on here in Seattle. Big layoffs at Amazon, big implications for Seattle's economy. So 14,000 Amazon employees out of 30,000 total that are kind of targeted for corporate firings because AI is coming in and we need to make things more efficient. We can get by with less and do more. That's what Amazon's telling us. That's what all of the big tech companies, Facebook, Meta, you name it, they're all saying the same thing. We can get by on less and produce more because of AI. Well, we're right in the middle of Amazon firings here in the state of Washington. But out of the 2,303 firings in the state of Washington by Amazon, 88% of those, 1,800 and change, were in Seattle, in the city of Seattle. Now, why is that interesting? Well, because Seattle has done a similar thing. They've taxed Amazon. They've got this jumpstart payroll tax that takes any companies that have payroll in excess of $8.5 million face a tax on that payroll of 0.75% or up to 2.5%. And Amazon is at 2.5% on those employees. And so when Amazon when they have the time slot where they're going to cut a whole bunch of people, they're going to cut ones in the city that taxes them the most, right? And so same thing with California. California is going to tax billionaires. Billionaires are going to probably sue them, tie them up in court, and it'll never really happen. But what it does is it telegraphs to California, hey, this isn't a good place to be a billionaire. Same thing in Seattle with Amazon. This isn't a good place to run a business, especially a big one, because for years and years and years, Seattle has specifically gone after big business because let's be honest, Seattle is socialist. It's communist at its core, right? We've got socialist / communist statues of, Lenin and just craziness here in Seattle. It's like that workers of the world unite kind of deal, right? Where we're so enamored because it's, socialism has always worked so well. Let's take from the rich and give to the poor. Okay. All right. But then that only goes so far because your economy, especially Seattle's, is built upon having these big tech companies. That is really what's driving Seattle is Amazon, biggest employer. Where are they moving their employees? To Bellevue. How many did they fire from Bellevue? About 12% of all the Washington state cuts came from Bellevue. Hardly fired any at all, right? Vast majority Seattle. Why? Seattle has an anti-business climate. They don't want your business. They want to tax you. California, state level, same thing. We don't want you here. We want your business and we want your tax revenue. But ultimately, we're just going to try and push you out because, what other options do we have? We've bled everybody else dry. Nobody can afford anything. Therefore, let's go ahead and tag the billionaires. How's that going to work out? Fantastic, right? Fantastic. It's one of those, I mean, these storylines, when you read these storylines, you're like, okay, that should be fine. That should work out just great. And then tax revenue just continues to shrink. And so then what do you have to do? You got to layer more taxes on those who are left, right? And it won't be the billionaires because they're mobile. They just boom, up and go. Because they got a lot of money. They don't even have to do it themselves. Talking about moving, are you going to get a big moving truck? When you have those conversations, those people don't even organize. They barely pack their own stuff, right? They don't need to. You're a billionaire. You just buy all your stuff at the next stop, wherever that is. Have somebody bring it to you. When you own Amazon, hey, team me up with a bunch of Amazon stuff. They don't buy from Amazon. They go to some fancy schmancy whatever because they're billionaires. They don't care. It's not relevant to them. But getting hit with an $8 billion or a $12 billion tax hit, that's not going to happen. So wishful thinking on the part of unions, wishful thinking on the part of California. This will be an interesting one to follow. Can they get I'm sure they can get the signatures together. I'm sure they can get that done because who doesn't want to stick it to those billionaires and then basically just pull out a gun and shoot themselves in the foot, right? Oh, we drove business away? Huh? Yeah, well, that's too bad. That's too bad. And that's what Seattle's done. Same thing. Actions have consequences, and we're watching this happen in real time. So not only do we have the Zohran Mamdani in New York City, we have Katie Wilson in Seattle, both socialists. I've been following those races closely. I don't see how Mamdani is not going to win in New York City, and I don't see Katie Wilson. There could be Bruce Harrell has got more of a shot in Seattle just because he's been mayor before and he's actually produced some results. Katie Wilson hasn't done really anything anywhere of note that leads people to believe that she's capable of running a city of the size of Seattle. But hey, you know what? You know what I say? Get out that popcorn. Let's watch it happen because it's going to be wild. It's going to be entertaining. Because what could go wrong having a socialist with zero experience running New York City? Same thing in Seattle. What could go wrong? Because socialism has always worked before. Why wouldn't it work now? Right? Oh, it doesn't? Oh, huh. Whew. I have to get back to you on that. Okay. That's it for me. Thanks so much for being here. I'll catch up with you in the next episode. Bye for now.